you. We're so happy to have you.
You're welcome.
And we'll start next with Mr. Watkins.
Hello, everyone. I'm Chef Marquise Watkins. I teach culinary arts at the Academy for Advanced Studies. I've been there for about 9 years now. I'm excited about being here to talk about food and, how can we, eat healthy.
All right, that's wonderful. And like Mr. Johnson, that's personal health. And now we have from the nutrition, and now we have Ms. Dr. Sharice Chisholm. Will you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Dr. Sharice Chisholm, a school psychologist with Henry County Schools. I've been in the county for 18 years.
Wow, we thank you. And of course, school psychologists, they're so important to our school district, and the work they do is just profound, and we could not operate without you. So thank you, Dr. Chisholm. Now we have Dr. Gibson.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Michelle Nichols Gibson. I'm a family physician. I am the Associate Dean for Clinical Affairs at Morehouse School of Medicine, and also the medical director for all of our ambulatory sites, and also the medical director for our COVID-19 vaccination programs, and a board member for the Henry County Hospital Association. So thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you so much. And we're so glad to have you. And I would be remiss if I did not allow Dr. Crump to introduce herself. She's our executive officer for family services.
Hello, everyone. I'm Earlene Crump, and I am here to make sure that everything flows.
Sweet.
And Dr. Ingram, I'm so sorry. Go ahead, Dr. Ingram. We can't hear you.
Dr. Ingram, unmute your phone.
Technology challenged. Sorry. I'm assuming everybody introducing themselves. I'm Dr. Treva Ingram. I'm a pediatric intensive care physician, and I work at Scottish Rite Children's Healthcare Atlanta. I've been at both campuses. I trained at Eggleston. That's what brought us to Atlanta. So I heard some of the guys talking about being homegrown. I am from North Carolina, but I've been here for a while now, and just happy to be a part of this.
Oh my gosh, we're so happy to have all of you all. Look at this wealth of information on one screen at one time. I mean, we're so excited to have you be able to share this information with our families. So let's go ahead and get this started. Let's talk a little bit about some personal health and wellness. Can you recommend to us, Mr. Johnson, an exercise regimen or program that would fit in a busy parent schedule?
Yeah, that's a great question, by the way. Everybody has access to different sports apps, fitness apps on their phone. I have one I use called Muscle Booster, and it gives me a 10-minute workout in the morning that I can do to kind of just get everything going. Then it gives me a good workout in the afternoon, if I can, for about an hour. So but it gives you a short version and a long version. But just to make it easy, you can just pretty much do cardio. I like to say, hey, do 10 to 15 minutes of cardio a day. Find at least carve out 20 minutes in your day. You carve out more time, anything to do like other things, but just 20 minutes to where you can maybe walk on a treadmill or do a jump rope or, do a circuit. It's easy to do some circuits like where you do like body squats. I'd say do them in sets of 20. So you do 20 body squats, 20 push-ups if you're a lady. You can do them from your knees. If you're a guy, do them just regular. Then you can go into doing some abs. Then you can do some high knees in place for like 30 seconds. You can kind of mix it up that way. But to be honest with you, you need to be working off of a routine on a daily basis. And everybody has something on their phone where you can just, for my little app, I'm going to be honest with you, I pay like $39 a year for it. And it gives me all my workouts that I do. And it's custom for me, for a guy my age, my size. So what do you want to do? I want to keep my muscle tone. I want to trim up a little bit. This would be the perfect workout for you. Are you at home or are you at a gym? Of course, I got a gym, so mine is tailored to my gym. But if you're at home, they'll tell you just need some dumbbells, a mat, and that's it. So everybody, I have an Android phone. So my phone is a Galaxy. So Muscle Booster is on my phone. If you have an iPhone, there are some similar apps that you can get, and just why not invest in yourself? Invest $39, they don't cost much, and it gives you a whole workout, but you need a routine on a daily basis. Then push come to shove, Parents and children can come to our gym. You know, we give them a 5-day free pass to work out at Total Athlete Sports Complex as well. We have something for the whole family.
Well, look, that sounds very wonderful, but just say, you say this routine, right? And
Yeah.
routines are important, but sometimes just getting going and starting, I mean, how do I start? I mean, I want to work out every day, but it's just not, I mean, I'm so busy. I mean, how do we make that happen?
Yes, you know, well, you need accountability partner. You know, whether that's a personal trainer, some people like to do online training. That's good too, but you need to have somebody that makes you accountable. Because if you're not self-motivated to do it yourself, you need somebody that's going to push you. You know, whether it's your children or your husband or just somebody you can just hire if you have the funds to do that. But do that. But invest in yourself. I would tell everybody, invest in yourself if you not already have done. But personal trainer or you know, something like that to get you going.
Okay, so I'm going to come back to you because I hear what you're saying, and I have a few more questions because I know we have kids that you may want to talk about how this is important with the kids, and you know how we're fighting obesity. So I'm going to come back, but before I come back, I'm going to go over because I know part of getting your workout regimen going, you also have to think a little bit about nutrition, right? So let's talk about some nutritional facts for our families. So, Chef, tell us, what are some healthy staples that should be in every household on hand in the kitchen? Because I crave potato chips, but I know potato chips are not the best thing to have on hand. So what are some good alternative snacks or staple items that every kitchen needs to have?
Okay, you know what, the best thing to do is always to try to find something that's, especially for snacks, that is quick and easy. And that's why we grab chips and things like that. But, you know, you can always change chips and things like that to a more healthier option, like peanuts, walnuts, you know, more things like that have a lot more fibers. So it's a good thing to always have something like that on hand, you know, and you can always use that kind of stuff to change out the routine of eating chips, because chips is just, to be honest, all the way bad. You know, we have to limit those chips, you know, and I have to do the same thing myself. But in your regular kitchen, you know, just having things like tomatoes, you know, things like pasta, you know, having beans, you know, and canned beans, frozen beans, you know, these vegetables like onions and such things like that are easy, quick, preparable, that you can quickly bring a meal together. You know, just having those tomatoes, and you can make a nice pasta with just some tomatoes and onions, and it'll still be really good. It's something that is really quick and you can get done within 5 to 6, maybe 10, 15 minutes. You know, having a little meal prep and things like that already ready, so that when you come home, you throw them in the pan, you saute them up, and you get your sauce together, and you can put it together real easy, you know. You know, but just, you know, having things like that a part of it. Brown rice is always a great thing because it's easy to make, and you can hold it for a long time. Quinoa is also another option that you can use. You know, just easy things that are quick, accessible, not something that is going to be a whole lot of time, that's going to take a whole lot of time to do. But those things right there are always good options, and they're good for your digestive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I like those options, and it's 6 o'clock. I'm a little hungry with just listening to you describe that. So I'm gonna try to hold off and not think about food a little longer, but we're gonna come back to you as well. Dr. Chisholm, can you recommend some brief mindfulness activities that parents can engage in with their children? And tell us why this is important.
Mindfulness is important because you think about mental health and just overall well-being. Oftentimes we're overwhelmed by thoughts and emotions that can really interfere with our day-to-day functioning. So mindfulness helps you get centered and helps you learn to control some of your thoughts and live more in the present and enjoy the present moments. And I think one of the easiest things families can do together are breathing exercises. And that's simply just taking nice deep inhales, 3 to 5 seconds with children, and then a nice cleansing exhale. And you can do that for a few cycles and get a rhythm going. That's very beneficial. Also, family yoga. Go on YouTube, find some YouTube videos that have beginners yoga activities. then you can do those things. Yoga mats on the floor and have at it. Also, things like reciting affirmations. And, I'm strong, I'm capable, I am, I'm brilliant, I'm worthy. All those kinds of things are very, very beneficial in terms of centering yourself and really getting a good mental focus. And one more thing, guided meditation. That's also a really beneficial mindfulness activity where it would incorporate breathing, the affirmations, the stretching, and all of that.
Wow. I mean, all of those things are very important, and I'm glad that you were able to share that, especially the breathing. I do have this little app on my phone with Waze when I'm trying to get directions, and right when I'm in the midst of traffic, they'll say, this would be a great time to breathe. So I always think about that, and I was like, okay, I'll breathe instead of being tense. So it does help, and I think those
so beneficial.
Yeah, it's so beneficial for our kids and our families to understand that, because it gets you to change your thinking. And if you're going in the wrong direction, it helps you to center yourself.
Yes.
And be able to have those positive thoughts. And you have to believe in yourself before anybody else can believe in you. So those positive affirmations are wonderful. I begin my day with those quite frequently. So thank you so much. Let's move on to Dr. Ingram. Dr. Ingram, can you share with us how families can encourage an overall healthy lifestyle in an early age? Because it's important. You don't need to wait until you go down the line. You need to start it early. So tell us some things. How can you encourage that, and why is this important?
I absolutely love this panel so far, because everything they said goes into what makes doing anything as a team and doing anything together makes it easier to accomplish. So for me, my husband this year, one of the things that he did was challenge our whole family for a consistent workout. So he actually said for us to work out an hour every day. He's gonna make it because he's more on that Mamba mentality. But it's a challenge for all of us to do what you can. And like the first gentleman was mentioning, I mean, everybody can't go to the gym, but you can get a jump rope. And these are things that we can do together. And it's not just for the physical health, because yes, I do see problems with obesity in the ICU, but it's also for mental health, because unfortunately, that's something that we have dealt with even more this year, problems with mental health. It's an excellent way to relieve stress. You come home, you work out, you walk, you'd be amazed at how much better you'll feel just after engaging in activity. And I think as far as us as adults, we have to set that example for our kids to follow. So it becomes more of a activity that you're used to doing every day, like brushing your teeth. So if it's something that we can get used to doing and start it at an early age, they'll take that into adulthood life. And I think that can be so beneficial for us all.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. And you're right, just getting it just a little bit at a time, and it just grows and expands and it becomes habit. So let's move to Dr. Gibson. Dr. Gibson, now we talked about early age, but as an adult, there are certain health screenings that you must have. Can you talk about health screenings specifically that women should think of and always keep in their regimen?
Well, thank you for the question. That's a great question. So just like everyone else said, they're really important. And unfortunately, with the pandemic and COVID-19, so many of us have missed out on things that we really need to be doing on a regular basis. So let's talk about women first. One of the things that's real important is that we get those annual exams. People have missed out on those annual exams. And we've changed the guidelines as far as when you get pap smears. It's not like every year, but you still need an annual exam. And the reason I say you need a regular checkup, because you need to do what we've already talked about, like with Dr. Chisholm. You need to check up on their mental health. So you need to do a depression screen on someone every single year. It's a 2-question questionnaire, and it can really give you insight as to what is going on. You need to be able to look at the weight. We've already talked about diet and exercise. So we really need to look and see where you are along the spectrum for your weight. We need to check your blood pressure, because that, for us, so often people don't know. That's the silent thing. You don't know what your blood pressure is. So you need to check their blood pressure. Other things we want to do for women, and like I said, it's men too, but also the diabetes screen. So many people have a history of diabetes in their family. So it's an opportunity for you to do blood work to get the diabetes screen. Smoking, sexually transmitted diseases, all these are things you do at that annual exam. But for women in particular, the important thing is once you hit a certain age, you need to get a mammogram. And it's because breast cancer is something that is prevalent. And so we all say that usually at age 40, you want to get your first one, just kind of as a baseline to see where you are. And then it goes every other year. And at the age of 50, it needs to be every single year you get that mammogram. Because you might not, just because it wasn't picked up on that one doesn't mean that it won't get picked up later. Now, however, if someone has a history of breast cancer, you want to start 10 years younger getting your mammogram. So that's important that people tend to forget about. Talked about pap smears. They changed the age. You start at age 21 to get your first pap smear. The guidelines changed based on your sexual history, but minimally it needs to be about every 3 to 5 years that you get a pap smear. Other things for our older women, you need to get a bone density. You know, we always talk about people need to get calcium and to get their vitamin D. But at age 65, we need to make sure you get at least a screening bone density. And if you have any health issues from that puts you at greater risk, you need to get that sooner. So for women, there's a lot of things that's why it's so important. Just get that annual exam. And then during that time, we'll go over what's important with screening. But last but not least, let's not forget about vaccinations. So we make sure that we talk to people about what vaccines they need. And we encourage everyone now that's been added as you talk to them about their COVID-19 vaccine and getting the vaccines and the boosters. So those are the things that you want to do in general for women and everybody, really.
Okay, well, thank you. I appreciate that. And that's very insightful. Some of those ages I haven't hit yet, but I do have them written down for that time when I do hit those ages, that age span. So I'm not going to date myself, but thank you. That's very helpful. Now let's talk a little bit. Let's go back to Mr. Johnson. So, you know, you look around and I used to be in the neighborhood playing kickball, basketball with my brothers, and I had a good time outside all the time. And we would wait for the light to come on, and that was my sign to go in because it was getting dark. But now you see kids on video games for hours and hours. How can we encourage more physical activity for students who prefer playing video games or watching television?
Great question. First of all, us as parents, you know, we set the foundation for our children. So a kid doesn't know what's best for them. If we let them have their way, they eat cookies and cake and junk food all day and play video games. It's for us to cut the video game off, get outside, or, you know, go in the backyard and play. You know, I mean, everybody's not how can I say it? You know, a tough guy like I am when I'm talking to my children and stuff like that. I'm a disciplinarian. Get your behind outside and cut the TV off. It's not that Mr. T. Everybody don't have that Mr. T attitude. But we have to control them, because if we just let them do what they want to do, they don't know what's best for them. So us as family, we gotta lead by example as parents. You know, what I used to like to do when my kids were younger, on Sundays, my daughter and my son ride bicycles. I'm running with them while they ride the bicycle around the neighborhood, and we just going around the whole neighborhood riding, you know, exercising, and they having a good time. Great memories that they still talk about today. But we have to lead by example as a father and as a mom. You know,
absolutely. And when you said riding a bike, okay, so and now I probably run beside someone riding a bike. But for those that can, that's amazing. But just getting outside and riding a bicycle. That's time together, and it creates an opportunity to also move your heart and get your heart moving, and just creates an opportunity to exercise without a whole lot of pressure, because it's fun too. I got on a bike, and I haven't been on one in quite some time, and it was riding a bike isn't easy as, you know, when you were young. So but if kids start now, they just have that movement, and then they're having fun at the same time, and they don't realize it, and then they're bonding with other kids when they ride bikes together. So I think that's a great opportunity for them. So thank you for bringing up that suggestion. And then I know kickball, some people play tennis, hopscotch. So there are other ways to get moving. So I appreciate that. Now, what are some activities that are very like no cost that busy parents can do with their children? I know we mentioned a few, but what are some targeted activities?
Great question. Targeted activities. Well, going to the park is always a good one, and playing basketball with your kids in the park. Those are the best. Going to Stone Mountain. I don't know if it costs to go to Stone Mountain. It may cost a little bit. It doesn't. But just finding things like that, even when you go to the beach, for the summertime. I love, my wife, she'll sit down there under the tent. I'm out there playing with the kids, but she'll get up sometime. I'm not going to throw under the bus. But get out there running in the sand and just, it's a way to stay active. And at the same time, you're creating great memories because it doesn't always have to cost,
Right.
just for you to have fun. You don't have to go to the trampoline jump zone, your sky zone, and pay a whole bunch of money. You can shoot. You get it. If you have one, we had one in our backyard. We jump on it and stuff like that. Kids loved it. But just anything, just being creative. Get out there and just be creative with all right, let's play catch. My son would love to play catch with him and stuff like that. And when he was little, I don't want to take up too much time. When he was about 3 years old, I get on my knees and I say, all right, run him, and I tackle him, slam him down and stuff like that. That's where you get that roughness from. And couldn't do my daughter like that, but she was just as tough as he was. But just stuff like that. It's just memories.
Yes.
Yes, you creating good things. The kids, they ain't gonna never forget that. You know what I mean? Yes.
You're right. And that's something like that. No cost whatsoever. You're just having fun, but you're moving. And movement at any form of fashion is always helpful. So I definitely appreciate that. So I'm gonna move on to Dr. Chisholm. So Dr. Chisholm, mental health and wellness has been just huge. I mean, and the statistics with children and adults have been astounding. Can you talk a little bit about how to start a conversation how parents can start a conversation with their children regarding mental health and wellness to check to see if they're okay?
Yes, ma'am. Great question, because kids are dealing with a lot in the schools. I work in a middle school, and I see a lot every day in the middle school. But I first would recommend you approach your child in a calm manner, a very non-judgmental manner. And I think it should be a one-on-one conversation with the child, and do more listening than talking. But also ask lots of open-ended questions. Instead of saying, how was your day? You can ask, what made you sad today? What made you happy today? How are you eating? How are you sleeping? Are you excited about anything in the upcoming future? Just kind of screening questions with your children. What's your biggest problem right now? Things like that, because it gives you an idea if they're really struggling with something. But if you just ask yes or no things, you might not get much. But I do think one-on-one, relaxed environment, depending on your child, maybe a fun environment, but also one-on-one to get them to talk.
Okay. And you made a good point, because I know so many parents say, well, I asked my child, here's she was doing, and they said fine. So fine is not sufficient. So I've always, in my experience, when they say fine, well, tell me what made it fine. Give me something, one thing that you did today that made it fine. So they will tell you that. And from what I'm hearing you say, that shouldn't be the end of the conversation.
Right. And I really recommend we lead with love in that conversation, but also parents set the tone for how their kids feel about mental health. So when we're talking about mental health, whether it's our own, someone else's, we need to speak about it in a compassionate manner and an understanding manner, because your kids might shut down and be more closed off about talking about it with you based on what they've heard you say previously about mental health.
Wow. Well, in some communities, you're right. And in some communities, there are some stigmas that are held about mental health, and how should we work to overcome those? Because it is nothing to be ashamed of.
I think information sharing and transparency, because lots of people deal with mental health issues, professionals, ordinary people. You're not alone in that battle or that fight. I think that oftentimes in our community, we talk about going to church, but I think you can have a church, you can go to church, and you can also have a therapist. You can have both, your pastor and your therapist. So my thing is, I believe information sharing in platforms like this, but also even in faith-based environments, provide information in those environments as well, so people will feel like they have permission to seek the help they need and not be judged by that.
Okay, well, thank you. That's some very good information. And it's not about a judging, it's about saving lives and helping everyone.
Saving lives.
Yes, it is. So, we want to be free of judgment, and we want someone to seek help if that is definitely needed. Right, Dr. Ingram, what are some often overlooked symptoms that can be identified early in young children that can possibly save their lives, since we're talking about, life-saving actions?
Definitely, asthma is one of the most common childhood diagnoses, and I think it's more so just taking it serious. Asthma can be fatal if we're not going to those well child visits, taking care of well child care, making sure you have your medication with you during sports and all activities. But when I heard that question, the first thing that actually came to mind for me was not necessarily a symptom, but the key that I see that could save so many lives is learning how to swim. We lose so many patients because of near drowning or fatalities, but learning to swim is such a big, all youth, all family, anybody I come into contact with, is very important that we know those things. And a lot of times, no, the parents won't, because when you get older, you get scared. And so, but they are actually mommy and me classes. And I think that the fear is less when they're little. So that's the best time for them to get out there and learn. And that is a definite life-saving activity.
Wow. Well, thank you. I wouldn't have never thought of swimming, but I think that is a very good point, because there are a lot of people who are adults now who have never had an opportunity to learn to swim. So just starting early. Thank you for sharing that. Dr. Gibson, talk a little bit more about males and their health screenings.
Well, I just want to echo what Dr. Ingram said. Swimming is so important. That's why both my children were competitive swimmers. But I think it's real important. But I tell my older patients the same thing, that maybe you can't swim, but if you walk, if you get in the water and walk, it's less strain on your joints. So therefore, they are able to, that's a form of exercise, wonderful exercise. So I just want to echo what she said. But going for our men, so often males don't go to the doctor. That is a huge problem. And oftentimes what you see is that when they do come, they're forced to come. And there are things that are so far gone that there's nothing to do. And that's really unfortunate. And so that's why it's important that, the things we talked about earlier, most of it applied to both. But men need annual exams too. Women go because we got to get that pap smear and all the other stuff. But it's important that men go for the same reasons, but particularly when you become an older male. Prostate cancer, for instance, is so prevalent, and it's very, very important that men start getting that. They keep thinking, oh my gosh, a prostate exam, but there's blood work, and it's important that you get that blood work so we can compare and see what your levels are, because it might not be that it's important to do it every year so you can see if there's an increase, not that it's above a certain number. So prostate is very important. Also for men, I also say that it's very important that you do, just men and women, this one is the colonoscopies. Can't talk enough about that. But you look at the young, everyone saw Black Panther. Chadwick was a young man in his early 40s. And that is something that probably could have been prevented. And you really want to make sure that males are aware of that, just like females, but men too. And that starts at age 45. We want to do screenings. And if there's any family history, then you want to start 10 years before. So that means if you were 41 and someone got diagnosed, that means they need to start in their 30s, like 31 years old. So the main thing for males is you want to get that annual checkup. You really want it older, once you hit that magical age of 50, you want to make sure you get the prostate done. And then colonoscopies, when you hit the magical age of 45, for females and males, you want to get that done. And then there's other stuff during that exam. You're talking about their smoking, you want to talk about their weight, you want to talk about the exercise. I tell people, just walk. Just all you need to do is just walk. You can do your little steps. I have my watch all the time, so I can keep up with my steps. But I tell people just walk. In my older elderly patients, I said, you just walk back and forth to the mailbox. That's something, and walk through your house. It's just that form of exercise. But the main thing is men need to go to doctors too. They need exams, and that you don't want that you want to live as long as possible. And it's unfortunate that women outlive men, but often it's because by the time they show up to the doctor, it's already too late a lot of times.
Wow.
That's a great question.
Well, thank you. And I definitely appreciate that. And you're absolutely right. A lot of times males are hesitant, to take time and invest in themselves by going to the doctor. That is investing. And a lot of people don't realize that you have to put time in and take time away from work or from whatever else, because that increases your time, with your family, and keep that time on your job and give you more time in life. If you are able to detect something early, you can be able to respond and have it work out versus it going the other direction. So I definitely appreciate you sharing that information about the screenings. Very important. Did they change the age recently for colonoscopies? Because I used to think it was 50.
It used to be 50, but now the American Gastroenterology Association has brought it down to 45. And it's because they're, by the time, like I said, for the Black Panther, if he wasn't 50 yet. So that's why they're saying it's important that you bring it down to age that we follow those guidelines. So it's 45. That's the age. They've lowered it to 45. And if there's a family history, you subtract 10 years from the person. So if someone, yes, everyone 45 or 50, but if someone in your family got it at age 52, that means that you need to start at 42.
Okay, that's good information. Definitely. So you subtract 10 from whatever age in which someone in your family first realized that they was suffering from cancer.
If they were younger than, if they were younger than the typical age of 45 and 50. So let's say if someone was 55, then they're supposed to start at 45 anyway. But if someone in your family got colon cancer at 42, you subtract 10 years back from it.
Gotcha.
Dr. Gibson, I didn't know about men with breast cancer until recently, like over the years. How do you go about that? And is that something with men?
So that, yes, is very prevalent with men as well. I've had patients that I've diagnosed with breast cancer. And usually it's sad because by the time they notice that lump is really pretty far along. So and I didn't mention for women, doing that monthly breast exam is real important. But for men as well, take a look. If there's a lump or bump that you see that shouldn't be there, you need to get it checked out. But yes, men get breast cancer too. And usually when they get it, it is much more advanced. And the male that I diagnosed with it, literally something was growing out of his chest. That's what made him notice. He said, "Hey, doc, what do you think about this?" And when I saw it, it was the cancer was growing out of his chest. So that's why it's very important when you do that exam is that you at least look at the person and look at their chest, and that people examine themselves and just look in the mirror and see what's there and what looks different than before.
Wow, a lot of men aren't aware that is a possibility. And I found that, when I realized it, I would think it was like 15 years ago when I realized it, but it's been around for quite some time. Definitely, it's just there. So I'm glad that awareness is becoming more prevalent and people are able to do something about it much sooner.
So I can't encourage people enough just to take and look, and if anything looks different on your body that wasn't there before, go and talk to your doctor. If you have anything that's different, or I just did recently a panel where her brother died of colon cancer at 31. So, and she said that he noticed his bowel habits were different. So if anything is different in your life, make sure you go and get it checked out.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. And Chef, we're going to transition to Chef for a minute, because we talked about, noticing things in your body, but your body talks to you with food as well. Can you talk to us a little bit about busy families. We get home sometimes 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and we're tempted to stop at McDonald's or a fast food restaurant or get some Chinese food or something like that. But how can busy families that are always on the move incorporate healthier foods into their diet versus fast foods?
Well, I think one of the greatest things about food is that it brings people together. If you want to see crowds of people to come together, let them know that you have some food somewhere, and it'll bring them together. So with families, I think it's important to involve your whole family into the process. Get your children involved. I got my children involved early, and now I come home sometimes and I have full course meals with my daughter that cooks for us. And get them involved. Finding that time, like when you have time to prep things, get things done that you're going to need for the next week. Knowing your schedule of the next week. If you coach or have people that do sports, being able to take them out and still get back home and feed them is a big thing. So we have to now try to schedule that time to cook, and how do we schedule that time? You have to plan, right? So you have to plan out and prep things and ahead of time, maybe even make some lasagnas for those days that, and have them frozen, having soup frozen, for those days where it's just like, I want something healthy. I don't want to go to McDonald's. I don't want to go to Burger King. I don't want to go to those places like that. I can pop this soup in the on the stove. I can pop this lasagna in the oven, and you can have things like that. And then when you have time to cook with the family, it's always a great thing to cook with your family. You learn so much about your family. You get to talk to each other. It helps with the connection, and you find out things that you can eliminate fast when you do these cookings, when you cook with your family. So, finding out those times when you can actually sit down and cook together, if it's 15 minutes, if it's 20 minutes, if it's 30 minutes, what can I cook in that time, and on the weekends when you don't have anything to do, start prepping it then, so that now when Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday come along, I've already had those things already done. And so it makes it easier. So I'm not doing everything at one time, which takes a longer time, to get things done when you're having to cut the onions and do this and do that. So if you have some of those things already ready, it makes life a whole lot easier for making meals for your family. And you'll see a lot of the stress that you have on, it's going to take 2 hours to do this. You'll see a lot of that stress that you have about cooking and that anxiety that you have about cooking will start to, be a thing that you don't even think about anymore, because you learned that I can cook a great meal in 30 minutes. I can cook a great meal, a nutritious great meal in 10 minutes, and still feed my family and feed everybody that I need to feed. So it's really important to involve your family, involve the whole process. Let them help you do some of the things like that.
So we talk about that and some things with families and getting started. So we have some little youngsters, 10, 11 years old. We may not want them on the stove yet. And they may be a little hungry, but I may want to sleep in or something. Or, maybe a time where, we want them to go and learn how to fix some quick snacks for themselves. What are some recommended snacks that you can think of offhand that you can share with them?
A great thing. Just little things. Me and my wife used to do little preps, where we would have raisins, have them prep their own raisin bags with nuts and things like celery and with peanut butter or something like that. That's easy, that they can do on their own. They can fix their own little snacks. Having, little, just assorted little items that are really healthy, cranberries and things like that they can choose and pick from. That that you are now giving them, and they're just not going there grabbing the chips all the time, that you're setting up for them and you're allowing them to go and choose and say, hey, what do you want to get out of here, and giving them those choices, not just saying it's wide open, so they can fix and have their own ownership of what they're eating and putting in their body. And it's still something that you are kind of like watching over, so that is one idea that you can do. And for kids that you're trying to get in there to start cooking, having them in there with you, while you're doing little things. I had my daughter cutting things for me when she was 9 years old. She was in there cooking, eggs and doing breakfast at 8 or 9 years old. But those things are things that you do with them, and over time, you see them get comfortable in those positions, and then where you can now say, hey, cook me a whole meal. My daughter's 17 years old, and she's been cooking meals like this since she was 12, and So those type of things right there, just involving them is the biggest thing. That was one of the things that gravitated me towards being a chef, was my involvement with my grandmother, with things like that, cooking in my own household, things like that. That's what gravitated me towards it. And seeing those people in my life, bring food, use food as a thing that brings us together and helps us to learn. Because one thing we're always going to have to do is eat, so it's never going to go away. It's always going to be there as long as we're living. So, why not involve people on how to eat and how to eat healthy?
Absolutely. So if I'm not mistaken, we may have a demo later.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. I think it's going to be wonderful.
Okay, we're going to make sure we put time in for that demo, but I have two more questions, and then we'll move to the demo. So, everybody, we have a treat in store for you. So just make sure you hang on. So Dr. Ingram, can you talk to us about how to engage in meaningful relationship with your healthcare provider? I heard Dr. Gibson talk about the young man who came in and said, hey, what's this? And you have to be able to be comfortable and be able to ask questions and be able to tell your doctor what you're experiencing. How do you develop that meaningful, trusting relationship with your healthcare provider?
Exactly. When I talk to my patients, we're in critical care, so it's life-threatening situations, but I express to them that it's important to us to be a team. The parents know their children better than any of us know their children. So we have to work together. I think it's very important that you find someone that you are comfortable asking questions. If they're not comfortable answering questions, then that's a problem, because we have to be in this thing together. I think it's also important that you develop trust and relationship where you can challenge each other. Like the physician who I love, she challenges me to make sure that I'm taking my medications, that I'm doing those things. Someone who cares enough to challenge you at times. So it may not be that we're always saying what you want to hear, but know that we're working together for the goal of making our patients healthy.
Can someone call their doctor too much? Like if they're having concerns and they want to, do you feel like, hey, don't call me anymore?
Sorry, I most definitely don't feel that way. I tell the nurses at work, I will get mad if you don't call me to tell me about something. I'd much rather know, because we are in this together. We have to know how to deal with and help the situations and carry it out together.
Okay. Well, I appreciate it. And I appreciate each one of you. So I want to end with, before we go to our demo, I want to end and just kind of go around and have each person to share with us why. What's your why? Why did you choose this field? And why is it important to our community? So tell us your why. You want to start, Dr. Mr. Chef Watkins?
Yeah, I'll definitely start. My why was I always been just around food, and just love to cook, and I like to smile on people's faces. I love what it does. Like I said earlier, it just involves everybody. Like when you have food, the smiles start to come out. Food will bring people that don't even like each other together. So, I just love the involvement that food has. I love being able to be artistic with food. I love now being able to share what I've learned over the years with students that have the same passion and the same drive for food like I do. So it's just that whole thing of just involvement, and then just being able to taste food. I love food. So being able to taste different things like that have been the driving thing that has really brought me to be a company.
Wow, and your rolls are phenomenal. I remember tasting your rolls when I was over there. I love those rolls.
Well, I can't take all the credit. I have two other chefs with me over there too that help a whole lot. So
absolutely. Well, you want to run a fantastic program, and our kids are so fortunate to have you lead that work in our district and create that joy and excitement about their next career move, which is dealing with food and nutrition. So we definitely appreciate all that you do. Mr. Johnson, you want to tell us a little bit about your why?
Yes, my why outside of being a coach and a business owner is pretty much just being healthy. In my family, my father passed away at 60 years old of diabetes. I'm 6'5", he was 6'6", 380 pounds. And everybody in his family, he lived to be 60. Then that was the longest. His mom passed away at 51. His oldest brother passed away at 49. Out of 9 children, there's only one that's left living. That's my Uncle Wendell. And he just made 70 this past December. So he kind of broke that generational cycle. And just, just taking care of my body, because I'm a big man. I look just like him. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be a healthier version of my dad. Put it that way. I'm going to work out. I'm going to take care of myself. And so that's my why. I want to be around to see my kids grow older. And, even though I was 30 years old when he passed away, but he had a lot of life left in him. You know what I mean? That I don't think he got a chance to see. He didn't really meet his full potential. So that's my why. It's just, being healthy. On my mom's side, they're pretty healthy as well, but they have a few things. My mom is 75 on February 21st. So I like to say I take after her as well. She's an educator for 40 years, a teacher, and she works out, goes to the gym. So I said, well, I may look like my daddy, but, I got my mom's work ethic in me, so I just learned from both of them. So that's my why.
Well, your why has led to other opportunities for families and for students and making a difference in our students' life, because our youth do have an opportunity to work with you. So we appreciate your contribution to the physical well-being of students. So we definitely see where your why has transcended and made an opportunity for kids, and we appreciate that. Dr. Gibson, tell us your why.
So my why is kind of going along with what Mr. Johnson said. My why is that as a primary care doctor, I've always wanted to make sure that people are able to live healthy lives as long as possible. And that you won't just live long, but you will have a life where you are totally with it mentally, that you are physically active. And so that my why was just to give everyone an opportunity, or as many people as I could, the opportunity for health access and health equity, and to be successful as they possibly could be through optimal health. And that's why I became a part of a medical school and teaching there, because I said I have my own personal patients, but I can reach so many more people by training other doctors. And so that's my why. It's just so to make everyone live as long as they possibly can.
Wow. Well, we appreciate you bringing the profession and sharing the profession with others, and your contributions to teaching as well as practicing. So we definitely love that. And we want to make sure that more of our kids choose that pathway and be able to give back as well. So we like what you're doing, and we appreciate what you're doing. So thank you so much. And Dr. Ingram, tell us a little bit about your why.
Sorry, guys, I am actually outside of my son's basketball practice, so I was trying to limit the background noise. But my why, I love children. And I don't say that just to be cheesy. I really do believe that they are our future. So many times the way that they look at life is honestly the way that we should. They don't meet enemies. They're friends with everyone, regardless of how they look on the outside. Those things don't matter to them. So many times I say I get my sermons from my children, because they are so thoughtful and teach. And honestly, you guys, in the hospital, I tell the parents, they're tougher than we are. I get to interact with families and see miracles, and kids get better. They inspire me on a daily basis. So my love, my why is my love for children. That's my passion. That's my heart.
Wow. Well, hey, that's what it's about. It's about giving back and definitely to our youth. So we definitely appreciate your contributions as well. And it means so much to us. And I know you're right. The kids are very resilient, and they are stronger than what we think. And I know they give you your inspiration and motivation each day. So I'm glad that they're able to give to you as well as you give into them. So thank you so much for what you do. And we salute you for your work. And last but not least, Dr. Chisholm, can you tell us a little bit about your why?
Yes, ma'am. Growing up, I witnessed a lot of people in my community, in my family, in the schools who, were brilliant individuals or had so much potential, but their outcomes ended up not being so great. So I wanted to make sure that I had a career path that was going to help be influential and I want to be impactful, and to help make kids' school experiences better, to help their experience in school better, and ultimately their outcomes in life better. The prison to, the school to prison pipeline is a real thing, all of that. So my job entails a lot of special ed testing, working with academic and behavioral problems, all those things. And again, I hope that something that I do daily, weekly, once a year will make a difference in the life of a child and their future.
Well, I can definitely tell you are making a difference firsthand. So I do know that because you're here with us. So I appreciate that. And we know what you do each and every day to make a difference. And people don't realize the power of a school psychologist, right? A school psychologist has so many different ways that they can make an impact. And you all definitely do that in Henry County schools. And I'm pretty sure across the nation. So we appreciate that, Dr. Chisholm. So thank you so much. And, everyone, we hope that this has been as informational and I mean, look at these people on the screen. I mean, you have some powerhouses on the screen. These people have been phenomenal and they do it from their heart and they love what they do. And nothing more than passion. Some people do things for money. And then some people do things for passion. And just listening to you guys, I mean, it's quite clear that you are passionate about that. And this just goes hand in hand with what we're trying to do in Henry County Schools, because our community, we have to care and we have to work together to make sure that our kids have the best experiences and our families as well. And educating and sharing information is one way to gain that experience that is most needed and crucial in the lives of our families and children. So the more we know, the better we do. So thank you for your contributions for this time with Black History Month, because we're glad that it was about wellness, because I mean, so many things have happened from this pandemic and we've been able to push through. I mean, when we didn't know which way it was going, we pushed through, but we didn't do it by ourselves. Henry County Schools did it with you by our sides and by our side, and we definitely appreciate that. So again, we appreciate the time that you've contributed. And right now, guess what? We get to see a video from our very own Chef Watkins. So let's go to our video demo. So again, thank you, everyone. So Dr. Crump, will you be bringing the video on? Okay, yes, so ma'am. Everybody just stand by. Very own Chef Watkins. So let's go to our video demo. So again, thank you, everyone. So Dr. Crump, will you be bringing the video on? Okay, so everybody just stand by. Hold on, it's coming up shortly. Very own Chef Watkins. So let's go to our video demo. So again, thank you, everyone. Well, technology is something else. When we are trying to get, that's been one of the challenges, but I must say we've gotten definitely better over the years with technology. The Zoom, we wouldn't have never been able to come together like this in one moment of time. So just, if we can wait just a minute, if we can, hopefully we'll be able to pull it up for you. Anyone else want to add some final thoughts while we're waiting? And don't feel pressured.
I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. This is absolutely wonderful. I'm just excited that you all did this. Having had my kids go through the Henry County school system, it is just a joy to see that you all are pulling this program together. Thank you for the invite.
Yes.
Well, we appreciate you as well.
And I also want to say thank you for allowing a school psychologist to be on this panel. I'm glad to be seen in a different light in the county and with parents witnessing it. It's just an awesome experience. Thank you.
Well, we're so glad to have you.
And thank you for having me as well, Mrs. Madden. I appreciate that. I know we see each other on Friday nights with our boys out there playing football, but it's a good thing to be a part of. I appreciate it.
Well, we appreciate you as well.
Yes.
Dr. Madden, we almost have it. Give us 30 more seconds. Give me
That's
30
okay.
more seconds.
That's fine.
Thank you so much for having me as well. I'm so excited about this. I was talking to Dr. Crump and how excited I was about the opportunity to be on there, and just the opportunity for you all to hopefully be able to see my students in action and their passion for it. You're going to hear, hopefully, and see their passion for it in this video, and everything. So I'm just excited, y'all. I'm just excited about being here. Thank you so much for allowing me to be here.
Well, we definitely appreciate you.
Yes, I definitely want to say thank you as well. I've learned so much from each of the panelists. I always love when we come together because that's where our power is. So thank you for having me.
Well, look, like I said, our gratitude. I mean, and not just, we've been able through this month, we're going to be featuring our health professionals